Hello dear listeners, welcome to another Life History channel. I hope you're ready to sleep. Let your shoulders drop and relax now. Tonight, we forget the luxury of windshield wipers and de-iced asphalt. We will see how travellers navigated blindly through blizzards without a GPS to save them, where the only road map was the footprint of the person who died before you. Before we begin, maybe hit subscribe and tell me where you are right now and what time it is. I love reading comments. Tokyo at 3 a.m, Chicago at midnight, London during a morning journey to work. It's fascinating how we're all present at once. Let's begin. You wake in darkness with frost clinging to the wooden shutters. The cold has seeped through every crack in the walls overnight. Your breath makes small clouds that disappear into the black air. The straw mattress beneath you crackles as you shift your weight. Your wool blanket is damp with the moisture of your breathing. You pull it tighter around your shoulders against the bitter cold. Outside, the wind howls through the narrow streets of the town. You hear it pushing against the house, making the timbers creak. Winter has arrived, and today you must begin your journey south. You sit up slowly, feeling the cold air bite your face. Your hands are stiff and you flex your fingers carefully. The room is so dark you cannot see anything at all. You reach for the candle and flint kept beside your bed. Your fingers find them by memory in the darkness surrounding you. You strike the flint once, twice, 3 times until sparks catch. The candle flickers to life, casting weak yellow light around the room. Shadows dance on the walls as the flame wavers in drafts. You can see your breath now moving through the candlelight like smoke. You stand and your feet touch the cold wooden floor below. The planks are icy against your bare skin, making you shiver. You move quickly to where your clothes are folded on the chest. The tunic is heavy wool lined with linen against your skin. You pull it over your head and smooth it down carefully. The fabric is cold but will warm from your body heat. You add a second tunic over the first for extra warmth needed. Then wool hose that tie at your waist with leather cord. Your fingers fumble with the knots in the cold air biting. A long cloak of thick felted wool comes next, wrapping around you. You fasten it at the throat with a bronze pin inherited. The weight of it settles on your shoulders like a shield. Your boots are leather lined with fur from rabbits you trapped yourself. You pull them on over the wool hose covering your feet. They are worn but well maintained and will serve you faithfully. You tie the laces tight and stand testing your weight on them. Everything feels secure and ready for the journey ahead of you. You take the candle and move toward the door leading downstairs. The stairs creak under your weight as you descend into darkness. The main room below is slightly warmer from yesterday's fire remains. You set the candle on the table and kneel by the hearth. Embers still glow faintly red beneath the ash covering them completely. You blow gently and they brighten, responding to the fresh air. You add kindling piece by piece until small flames catch and grow. The fire builds slowly, pushing back the darkness around the room. You add larger pieces of wood once the flames are strong. Heat begins to radiate outward, touching your face and hands extended. You fill a pot with water from the barrel near the door. The water is ice cold and your fingers ache from touching it. You hang the pot over the fire on an iron hook. While the water heats, you prepare food for the journey ahead. Bread baked 3 days ago is hard but still good to eat. You wrap several loaves in cloth and pack them carefully away. Dried meat hangs from the ceiling beams waiting to be taken. You cut down strips of venison and mutton preserved with salt. These go into your leather bag along with the bread wrapped. Hard cheese wrapped in wax will not spoil for many weeks travelling. You add 2 large pieces to your supplies already packed tight. Dried apples and nuts fill the remaining spaces left in the bag. The water begins to steam and you prepare a simple porridge. Oats and water and a pinch of salt stirred over the fire. The smell fills the room, making your stomach growl with hunger. You eat the porridge, slowly savouring the warmth sliding down your throat. It fills your belly and gives you strength for what comes. You clean the bowl and set it aside for your return. Your travelling pack sits by the door, already mostly prepared days ago. You check the contents, making sure nothing important is forgotten or missing. A second cloak rolled tight, a fire striker spare hose and underclothes. A small pot for cooking and a wooden cup for drinking water. A knife at your belt and another smaller one hidden in boot. Rope coiled and tied securely to the outside of the pack. You add the food bag and tie everything down tightly and securely. The pack is heavy but manageable for a strong person like you. You lift it, testing the weight, and adjust the straps properly. Your walking staff leans against the wall near the door, waiting patiently. The wood is oak, worn smooth from years of use and handling. The bottom is shod with iron to protect it from wearing. You take the staff and feel its familiar weight in your hand. It will help you walk and defend yourself if needed on roads. Many travellers carry staffs for these purposes, and more besides them. A small purse of coins hangs hidden beneath your tunic against skin. Not much money, but enough for tolls and food if needed. You check it is secure and hidden from casual observation passing. The room is warm now from the fire burning steadily and bright. You look around at everything, knowing you will not return for weeks. This simple furniture and bare walls are home, and you will miss them. You bank the fire carefully with ashes to smother it completely out. No flame must be left burning when you leave the house. Fire is too dangerous to risk even in stone and timber buildings. You shoulder your pack and take your staff in hand, ready now. The candle is blown out and darkness returns to the room completely. You open the door and step out into the cold morning air. The street outside is empty and dark, with no one moving. Dawn has not yet come and the town sleeps still deeply. Your breath steams in the freezing air surrounding you on all sides. Snow fell during the night and covers everything in white silence. Your boots crunch through it, leaving the first tracks in pristine surface. The sound seems loud in the quiet morning surrounding you completely. You walk down the narrow street toward the town gate ahead. Houses lean close together overhead, blocking out the sky above you. Windows are shuttered tight against the cold wind blowing steadily through. The gate is closed, but the watchman sees you approaching with staff. He recognizes you and lifts the bar without speaking any words. The heavy wooden gate swings open, creaking on iron hinges old. You nod your thanks and pass through into the open land beyond. The gate closes behind you with a solid thud that echoes briefly. You are outside the town walls now, and the journey truly begins. The road stretches ahead, disappearing into darkness and falling snow lightly. It is barely visible as a depression in the white landscape. You must follow it south toward distant cities and warmer lands waiting. The wind hits you fully now without buildings to block its force. It pushes against you, trying to force you backward toward the gate. You lean into it and keep walking forward step by steady step. Snow falls steadily from the dark sky above your head constantly. The flakes are small and dry, blowing sideways in the wind strong. They sting your face where the cloak does not cover it. You pull the hood up over your head for extra protection given. It helps block the wind and snow from your face exposed, but it also limits your vision to what is directly ahead. The road is hard-packed earth, frozen solid beneath the fresh snow. Your boots find good purchase, and you make steady progress walking. The staff helps you keep balance on the uneven surface below. Dawn begins to break slowly in the east behind you gradually. The sky lightens from black to deep grey, heavy with clouds. Snow continues falling without pause or sign of stopping any time soon. You can see the road more clearly now in the growing light. It runs straight south through open fields covered in white snow. Trees line it, occasionally providing some shelter from the wind's full strength. Other travellers have passed this way recently, you can see now clearly. Their tracks are partially filled with new snow but still visible. Knowing others travel this road brings small comfort to your mind. You settle into a steady walking rhythm that will carry you far. Not too fast to tire yourself early in the day ahead. Not too slow, or you will not make good distance before dark. Your body begins to warm from the effort of walking steadily. The layers of wool trap the heat your body makes inside. Only your face and hands remain cold in the bitter air. You flex your fingers around the staff to keep blood flowing. The wood is cold and hard against your palm gripping it, but the movement keeps your hands from becoming too numb and useless. The landscape around you is flat and featureless under snow covering. Fields stretch endlessly on both sides of the road you follow. In summer they would be green with crops growing tall and full. Now they are empty and white and silent as a grave. Only the wind makes sound rushing across the open space endlessly. It whistles and moans like something alive and hunting for prey. You walk for hours as the morning slowly brightens around you. The snow continues falling steadily, adding to what already lies on ground. Your tracks fill in behind you within minutes of passing through. At midday you stop to rest beneath a large oak tree. Its bare branches provide little shelter, but some protection from wind direct. You lean your back against the trunk and lower your pack. The bark is rough through your cloak, but the rest feels good. Your legs ache slightly from the steady walking all morning long. You flex them and stamp your feet to restore feeling and warmth. You take out bread and dried meat from your pack carefully. The bread is frozen hard and you must warm it inside your cloak. The meat is like leather, and you chew it slowly and deliberately. You scoop clean snow into your cup and let it melt slowly. The water is ice cold but wet and needed for your thirst. You drink sparingly, knowing you must ration what you carry with you. The rest is brief, because staying still means getting cold quickly. You shoulder your pack again and take up your staff once more. The journey continues southward along the road, stretching endlessly ahead of you. The afternoon brings no change in the weather falling constantly around. Snow and wind and cold continue without mercy or pause given. You walk with your head down, watching the road at your feet. Other travellers appear ahead of you, moving in the same direction. A cart pulled by an ox moves slowly through the deep snow. Two people walk beside it, bundled in heavy cloaks and scarves wrapped. You catch up to them gradually as your pace is faster walking. They hear your footsteps and turn to look at you approaching behind. Their faces are hidden by hoods and scarves protecting them from cold. You raise your hand in greeting as you pass them by steadily. They nod acknowledgement but do not speak any words to you. Everyone saves their breath for walking in this bitter cold weather. You continue ahead, leaving them behind you on the road slowly. The sound of the cart fades into the wind behind you. You are alone again with only the snow and wind for company. The road begins to slope gently downward into a shallow valley. A frozen stream cuts across the road at the bottom below. A wooden bridge crosses it, covered in snow and ice treacherous. You approach the bridge carefully, testing each step before committing your weight. The planks are slippery, and you use your staff for balance always. The water beneath is frozen solid and covered with snow drifted. You cross successfully and begin climbing the opposite slope, gradually rising. Your breathing becomes heavier with the effort of climbing upward steadily. The pack weighs heavily on your shoulders, pulling you backward slightly. At the top of the rise, you pause to catch your breath. Looking back, you can see the valley and the bridge below. The cart is just reaching the bottom, preparing to cross over. Ahead, the road continues south through more open fields, endless and white. Trees appear in the distance, forming a dark line against grey sky. A forest lies ahead where you might find some shelter tonight. You continue walking toward the trees, growing closer with each step taken. The afternoon is waning and darkness will come early in winter. You must reach the forest before night falls completely around you. The wind seems to grow stronger as the day progresses forward steadily. It pushes against you, making each step require more effort than before. Snow swirls around you, reducing visibility to just a few paces. You keep your eyes on the road immediately before your feet carefully. Losing the road in this weather could mean death by freezing. You must stay on the path no matter how hard it becomes. Your legs are tired now and your body aches from constant walking. But you push forward knowing you cannot stop in the open safely. The forest ahead promises shelter and the possibility of fire and warmth. The trees grow closer and you can see individual trunks now clearly. They are oak and beech mixed with some pine trees evergreen. Their branches are heavy with snow accumulated over days of falling. You reach the forest edge as the light begins to fail completely. The trees block some of the wind, which is a blessed relief. You can hear the wind in the branches high above your head. The road continues through the forest, winding between the trees standing. It is darker here beneath the canopy, even with snow reflecting light. You walk more slowly, being careful of roots and hidden obstacles below. You search for a place to stop and make camp for night. A spot sheltered from wind as with dry wood for fire building. Your eyes scan the forest on both sides of the road passing. You find a small clearing just off the road protected by trees. A fallen log provides a windbreak and seating for resting yourself. Snow is shallower here beneath the tree cover overhead sheltering it. You lower your pack gratefully and lean your staff against the log. Your shoulders ache from carrying the weight all day long walking. You roll them and stretch, trying to ease the soreness and stiffness. First, you must gather wood for a fire to warm yourself by. You search the area, finding dead branches and fallen wood scattered about. You break them into manageable lengths and carry them to your camp. You clear a space down to bare earth for the fire safely. Stones are arranged in a circle to contain the flames burning bright. Dry bark and twigs form a nest in the centre waiting. You strike your flint against steel, sending sparks into the tinder. It takes several tries before a spark catches and begins to glow. You blow gently, and the glow becomes a tiny flame flickering. You add twigs, carefully feeding the growing flame with fuel needed. The fire builds slowly but surely, pushing back the darkness around. Heat begins to radiate outward, and you hold your hands close. The warmth feels wonderful after the day's cold walking in snow endless. Your fingers tingle as feeling returns to them slowly and painfully. You add larger wood to keep the fire burning through the night. You melt snow in your pot to make water for drinking tonight. The snow takes a surprising amount to make a small amount of water. You must melt several batches to fill your cup and pot both. You prepare a simple meal of bread and meat eaten near the fire. The warmth makes the food taste better than it would otherwise. You eat slowly, savouring each bite and the heat on your face. The forest around you is dark and filled with sounds unfamiliar here. Wind in the branches and snow falling from trees occasionally hitting ground. Small animals move through the underbrush searching for food or shelter. You're not afraid because you've travelled this road before in past. The forest is home to deer and rabbits and birds mostly harmless. Wolves exist but rarely attack lone travellers with fire and staff present. You arrange your bedding near the fire on the driest ground available. Your cloak spreads beneath you to protect from the cold earth below. Your pack serves as a pillow beneath your head, resting there. You wrap yourself in your second cloak and lie down to sleep. The fire crackles and pops, sending sparks upward into the darkness above. The warmth is comforting and your body relaxes from the day's effort. Sleep comes slowly as you listen to the forest around you settling. The wind continues but seems gentler here among the trees protecting you. Snow falls softly, landing on your cloak and melting from your warmth. You drift into sleep with the fire burning low beside you glowing. Your dreams are of warm hearths and dry beds waiting at journey's end. The night passes slowly, but you sleep deeply exhausted from walking far. You wake several times to add wood to the fire keeping alive. The cold is intense, and without the fire you would freeze surely. Each time you wake, you check your surroundings before sleeping again. Dawn comes slowly with grey light filtering through the trees overhead. Snow has stopped falling during the night, finally giving you relief. The sky is lighter, and the wind has died to almost nothing. You rise stiffly from your cold bed, aching in every joint. The fire has burned down to embers glowing faintly red and orange. You add wood and blow it back to life for warmth and cooking. You melt snow for water and prepare porridge for your breakfast eaten. The hot food warms you from inside, spreading through your body gradually. You feel strength returning as you eat by the fire's warmth. You pack your belongings, carefully checking that nothing is left behind you. The fire is extinguished completely, with snow smothering the embers thoroughly buried. You shoulder your pack and take your staff in hand ready. The road continues south through the forest, stretching ahead of you still. The trees thin gradually as you walk, revealing more sky above clearly. You are nearing the southern edge of the forest you know well. You walk steadily, warming your body with the effort of movement made. The forest is beautiful in its winter silence around you everywhere looking. Sunlight breaks through clouds, occasionally illuminating the snow brightly shining pristine. By mid-morning you emerge from the forest into open country again spreading. The road continues across gentle hills rolling toward the horizon far away. You can see smoke rising in the distance, marking a village or town. You adjust your pack and continue walking toward the distant smoke rising. The road is clearer here, with less snow covering the surface. Other travellers have packed it down, creating a firmer path to follow. The sun breaks through the clouds, casting pale light across the landscape. The warmth is minimal, but the brightness lifts your spirit somewhat. You can see further now without snow obscuring your vision constantly. The hills are gentle and easy to walk compared to yesterday's journey. Your legs have found their rhythm and move steadily without conscious thought. The staff taps against the frozen ground with each step taken. You pass stone markers along the roadside indicating distances to towns ahead. The nearest village is still 3 leagues away from your current position. You calculate you will reach it by early afternoon at this pace. Other travellers begin to appear on the road, moving both directions passing. A merchant with 2 pack horses loaded heavily with goods wrapped tight. A farmer driving sheep southward to market for selling them there for profit. You exchange nods with each person but rarely speak any words aloud. The cold makes talking difficult and breath is precious for walking far. Everyone understands this and respects the silence kept between travellers passing. A group of pilgrims walks together singing hymns as they go along. Their voices carry across the frozen fields surrounding the road on both sides. The sound is strange and beautiful in the winter stillness all around. You let them pass ahead of you, preferring to walk alone quietly. Their pace is slower than yours and you do not wish to match. You will overtake them eventually when they stop to rest or pray. The road descends into another valley where a river flows partially frozen. Ice covers the edges, but the centre still runs dark and swift. A stone bridge crosses it, built solidly by Roman hands long ago. You cross the bridge and stop to rest on the far side briefly. You look down at the water flowing beneath the ice, continuously moving. The sound of it is soothing, and you listen for a moment. You scoop snow from the bridge railing and let it melt for drinking. The water is clean and cold and tastes of minerals from stone beneath. You drink your fill, knowing the next water may be far ahead. The climb out of the valley is steeper than the descent down. You lean forward into the slope and use your staff to help push. Your breathing becomes heavier, and you feel your heart beating faster inside. At the top you pause to catch your breath and look back. The valley spreads below with the river winding through it like silver ribbon. The bridge is a small arch in the distance already behind you now. Ahead, the road continues toward the village you saw smoke from earlier. You can see buildings now clustered together in the distance, approaching slowly. Fields surround the village, dormant under snow, waiting for spring to come. You increase your pace slightly, eager to reach shelter and warmth soon. Your stomach growls, reminding you that breakfast was many hours ago eaten. Perhaps the village will have an inn where you can buy food. The village grows larger as you approach, walking steadily toward it now. You can see people moving between buildings, going about their daily work. Smoke rises from many chimneys, indicating fires burning inside, warming the inhabitants there. A wooden palisade surrounds the village, providing some protection from raiders and thieves. The gate is open during daylight hours, allowing travellers to enter freely. 2 guards stand watch, but they look cold and bored standing there. You pass through the gate, nodding to the guards who barely notice. The village street is narrow and muddy beneath the snow covering it. Buildings lean close together, made of wood and thatch and plaster white. You search for signs indicating an inn or tavern for travellers stopping. A wooden sign shows a painted cup hanging above a doorway ahead. This marks the village inn where you can find food and rest. You push open the heavy door and step inside out of cold. The warmth hits you immediately, making your face tingle and burn slightly. The room is dim and smoky from the fire burning in the hearth. A few locals sit at tables drinking ale and eating their midday meal. They look up briefly as you enter, then return to their conversations. The innkeeper approaches, wiping his hands on his apron, worn and stained. You indicate you want food and ale with gestures made clearly simple. He nods and points to an empty table near the fire's warmth. You remove your pack and lean your staff against the wall carefully. You sit on the bench and the heat from the fire warms you. Your cloak is wet with melted snow and begins to steam slightly. You remove it and hang it on a peg nearby to dry. The innkeeper brings a wooden bowl of thick stew steaming hot heavily. Chunks of meat and vegetables float in rich brown broth smelling wonderful. A piece of dark bread accompanies it for soaking up the liquid. You eat slowly, savouring the warmth and flavour of the stew cooked. It is simple fare, but tastes magnificent after cold travel and walking. The bread is dense and filling and satisfies your hungry stomach completely. A cup of ale accompanies the meal, warm and slightly bitter tasting. You drink it slowly, feeling the warmth spread through your chest inside. The alcohol is weak, but enough to relax your tired muscles aching. You pay the innkeeper with a small coin from your hidden purse. He takes it and offers you a place by the fire to rest. You accept gratefully and settle onto a bench near the warmth radiating. Your eyes grow heavy as warmth and food work their magic relaxing. You allow yourself to doze lightly, resting while remaining somewhat alert always. The sounds of the inn fade into a gentle background noise, soothing. You wake after perhaps an hour, feeling more refreshed than before sleeping. Your cloak is dry now, and you put it back on, preparing. The afternoon is advancing, and you must continue your journey southward still. You shoulder your pack and take up your staff, thanking the innkeeper. He nods and wishes you safe travels on the road ahead. You step back outside into the cold afternoon air surrounding you. The village street is busier now, with people going about their business. A blacksmith works at his forge and you feel the heat passing. Children play in the snow, throwing snowballs and laughing loudly together. You walk through the village toward the southern gate ahead of you. The guards there are different from the morning shift watching now. They nod as you pass through, back onto the open road, continuing. The afternoon sun is already beginning its descent toward the western horizon. You have perhaps 3 hours of good light remaining before darkness falls. You must make good distance before needing to camp again tonight somewhere. The road continues south through more open farmland, stretching endlessly ahead always. The snow is lighter here and the walking is easier than before. You make good time, covering ground steadily with each step forward. You pass a shrine by the roadside, marking a holy place for prayers. A small stone shelter holds a statue of a saint, weathered and old. Someone has left fresh flowers despite the winter cold surrounding everything here. You pause briefly and bow your head in respect before continuing onward. Such shrines dot the roads throughout the land, marking the way for pilgrims. They provide spiritual comfort and physical landmarks for travellers navigating through unknown territories. The landscape begins to change as you walk further south, steadily progressing. The hills become more rolling and trees appear more frequently along roadsides. The air feels slightly less cold, though winter still holds firm everywhere. You overtake the group of pilgrims you saw earlier this morning walking. They have stopped to rest and pray at the roadside shrine behind. They call out blessings as you pass them, continuing on your way. The sun touches the horizon, and the sky begins to colour beautifully. Pink and orange spread across the clouds scattered above your head looking. The snow reflects these colours, creating a magical landscape around you completely. You search for a suitable place to camp for the coming night. Trees are more common here, providing better shelter than last night's forest. You find a small copse of pines off the road, protected well. You establish your camp efficiently, having learned from previous night's experience gained. The fire is built quickly and burns well with dry wood gathered. Your bed is arranged on pine needles, which are softer than bare earth. You prepare your evening meal as darkness settles around your small camp. The fire pushes back the night, creating a circle of warmth and light. Stars begin to appear overhead in the clear sky, finally cloudless tonight. You eat your simple meal, watching the flames dance and flicker before you. The forest is quiet except for wind in the pine branches above. The scent of pine smoke fills the air around you, pleasantly surrounding. You think about the journey ahead and how many days remain until arrival. At least 5 more days of walking, maybe 6 depending on weather conditions. Your destination is a city far to the south where work awaits. You're a stonemason travelling to join a cathedral building project there. Your skills are needed for the great church being constructed slowly over decades. The pay is good, and the work will last for years, providing security. But first you must complete this winter journey through cold and snow. Each day brings you closer to your goal and new life waiting. You feel both excitement and apprehension about what lies ahead unknown to you. Sleep comes more easily tonight in the sheltered pine grove, resting peacefully. The fire burns steadily, and you wake only once to add wood. The night passes quietly without incident or disturbance to your rest given. Dawn breaks clear and cold with frost covering everything in white sparkle. The trees are coated in ice that glitters in the early light. You rise and stretch, feeling the stiffness in your body from cold. The fire is rekindled and you prepare yourself for another day's walking ahead. Porridge and melted snow water provide sustenance for the morning's journey continuing. You pack efficiently and extinguish the fire, completely burying it with snow. The third day of travel begins with clear skies and lighter wind blowing. The road is firmer here with less snow covering the frozen ground. You make excellent progress through the morning hours, walking steadily southward always. You pass through 2 more small villages during the day, stopping briefly. At one you purchase fresh bread still warm from the baker's oven. At another you refill your water skin from the village well drawing. The countryside continues to change, becoming more populated and civilized, showing progress. Stone houses replace wooden ones, and roads are better maintained here clearly. You're approaching more prosperous regions, closer to larger towns and cities. By afternoon you can see a town in the distance larger than villages. Stone walls surround it and church spires rise above the rooftops clustered. This is a market town where you plan to spend the night. You reach the town gates as the sun begins to set behind. The guards check you briefly, but allow you to enter without trouble. The streets are paved with stone and lined with substantial buildings made. You find a proper inn near the market square in the centre. It is larger and cleaner than the village inn from yesterday's stop. You pay for a bed in the common sleeping room upstairs resting. The evening meal is served in the main hall with other travellers. Roasted meat and vegetables and good bread with butter spread thick upon it. Ale flows freely and the room is warm and loud with conversation. You sit quietly eating and listening to the talk around you. News travels with merchants and traders gathered here from distant places far. You learn about conditions on the roads ahead and weather expected coming. The sleeping room upstairs is crowded with travellers like yourself on journeys. Beds are simple straw mattresses on wooden frames arranged in rows closely. You claim a spot and lay out your belongings beside it. The room is warmer than sleeping outside but noisier with many people. Some snore loudly while others toss and turn restlessly throughout the night. You sleep fitfully, waking often, but grateful for the shelter provided here. Morning comes with the innkeeper calling everyone to rise and clear out. Breakfast is bread and cheese eaten quickly before departing on your way. You pack your belongings and join the stream of travellers leaving town. The road south from the town is well travelled and maintained properly throughout. Other travellers move in both directions, creating a steady flow of traffic. Merchants with wagons, farmers with carts, pilgrims on foot, all travelling together. You fall into the rhythm of the road, walking among the others. There is safety in numbers against bandits who prey on lonely travellers. You walk steadily, keeping pace with a group of merchants heading south. The 4th day passes with less difficulty than the previous days travelled. The weather holds clear and cold, but without snow falling to hinder. The road is good and you cover many miles before sunset arrives. You camp that night near a roadside inn too expensive for your budget. Other travellers do the same, creating a small community around fires built. Stories and news are shared freely among those gathered here together tonight. You learn that the weather has been unusually harsh this winter throughout lands. Many roads are impassable and traders suffered from the conditions present. You feel fortunate that your journey has proceeded well so far successfully. The 5th day brings you through more populated countryside approaching the regional capital. Villages are closer together, and traffic on the road increases steadily throughout. You pass farms and monasteries and manor houses of nobles living comfortably. The road crosses a major river on an ancient stone bridge wide. The river is partially frozen but still flowing underneath the ice formed. Boats are pulled up on the banks waiting for spring thaw. You stop at midday in a large village that serves the surrounding area. The market is busy despite the winter cold keeping people mostly indoors. You purchase supplies for the final days of your journey remaining ahead. Fresh bread and cheese and dried fruits to supplement your dwindling stores carried. You also buy a pair of woolen mittens to protect your hands better. The cold has made your fingers stiff and painful from exposure constant. The afternoon brings you within sight of the city walls in distance. Massive stone fortifications rise above the flat plain surrounding them, protectively strong. Towers mark the corners and gates allowing entry through the thick walls. You feel excitement rising as your destination approaches closer with each step. After 5 days of walking, you will finally reach your goal tonight. The cathedral awaits where your new life will begin working on stone. But the sun is setting and the gates will close at dusk. You must hurry to reach them before being locked out overnight outside. You increase your pace, walking quickly toward the nearest gate ahead, visible. Other travellers do the same, rushing to beat the closing time approaching. The road becomes crowded with people pushing forward toward the entrance shown. Guards stand ready to close the massive wooden gates, reinforced with iron. You reach the gate just as the sun touches the horizon behind. The guards wave you through along with the last stragglers arriving late. The gates swing closed behind you with a deep boom echoing through. You are inside the city walls finally after your long winter journey. The streets are narrow and crowded with buildings rising several stories high. Lanterns are being lit as darkness falls, creating pools of light scattered. You ask directions to the cathedral from a guard at the gate. He points and gives instructions that you follow carefully through the streets. The city is confusing with many turns and alleys branching off everywhere. You walk through streets filled with people heading home from work done. Shops are closing and shutters are being fastened for the night coming. The smell of cooking fires and food fills the air, making stomach. The cathedral rises suddenly before you, massive and magnificent in the twilight. Its stone walls soar upward toward heaven, decorated with carved figures holy. Scaffolding covers parts of it where construction continues even in winter months. You stand looking up at it, feeling small and insignificant before such grandeur. This is what you will help build and create with your hands. This is why you travelled through winter's cold and hardship endured willingly. A smaller building beside the cathedral serves as the mason's lodge and workshop. You approach and knock on the heavy wooden door, waiting patiently outside. A face appears at a small window, peering out at you suspiciously. You explain that you are the mason sent for from the north. The door opens and an older man greets you with a firm handshake. He is the master mason in charge of the cathedral construction work. He leads you all inside where warmth and light welcome you completely and fully. Other masons are gathered eating their evening meal around a long table. They look up and nod, greeting the newcomer arrived finally after long travel. You remove your pack and cloak and sit at the table gratefully. Food is served and you eat hungrily, surrounded by your new brothers. These men will be your companions and colleagues for years to come. The master mason explains that work begins at dawn every day. You will be assigned tasks based on your skill and experience demonstrated. Accommodation is provided in the lodge with meals included in your pay. After eating, you are shown to the sleeping quarters upstairs above workshop. Beds line the walls and each mason has a chest for belongings. You claim an empty bed and unpack your few possessions owned carefully. You lie down on the bed, feeling its softness after nights on ground. The room is warm from the fire burning downstairs, rising through floorboards. You hear the sounds of the city outside muffled through walls, thick. Sleep comes quickly as exhaustion claims you finally at journey's end reached. Your winter travels are complete, and tomorrow your new life begins here. You dream of stone and cathedrals rising toward heaven built by hands. Morning comes with bells ringing from the cathedral summoning workers to labour. You rise and dress quickly, joining the others descending the stairs below. Breakfast is porridge and bread eaten hastily before heading to work outside. The master mason assigns you to work on the north wall carving. You will shape stones to fit precisely into the structure being built. Your tools are provided, and you examine them, checking their quality and sharpness. The stone is limestone quarried from hills outside the city walls far. It is good quality stone, easy to work but strong when set. You feel the familiar weight of hammer and chisel in your hands. You begin work shaping a block to the pattern marked upon it. The stone chips away under your careful blows, struck precisely, placed perfectly. The work is satisfying and familiar to your hands, knowing it well. The winter air is cold, but the physical work keeps you warm. Other masons work nearby, each on their own assigned stones and tasks. The sound of hammers on stone creates a rhythmic music filling air. At midday, work stops for a meal brought to the site. Bread and cheese and ale are distributed among the workers gathered together. You sit on a stone block and eat while looking at progress. The cathedral grows slowly, with each stone added to its structure rising. It will take decades to complete, but you will be part of it. Your work will stand for centuries after you are gone and forgotten. The afternoon continues with more stone shaping and setting carefully done right. The master mason inspects each piece before it is placed, ensuring quality. He nods approval at your work, showing skill and precision demonstrated clearly. As the sun sets, work ends and tools are cleaned and stored. You wash the stone dust from your hands and face at the well. The water is cold but feels good against your skin, tired from work. Evening meal is served in the lodge with all the masons gathered. Stories are told and jokes are shared, creating camaraderie among workers bonding. You listen and learn about the men you will work beside daily. After eating, you sit by the fire, warming yourself before bed waiting. One of the older masons asks about your journey here travelling south. You tell of the winter roads and cold villages passed through. Others share their own stories of travels made in different seasons past. Each man has come from somewhere else, drawn by the cathedral work. You are part of a brotherhood united by craft and purpose shared. You retire to bed feeling content and satisfied with this new beginning. The journey was hard but worth the effort to arrive here safely. Tomorrow and the days after will bring work and purpose fulfilled completely. The winter continues outside, but you are sheltered and warm inside always. The cathedral rises slowly, and you are part of its creation ongoing forever. Your hands shape stone that will endure through ages, coming forward eternally. Weeks pass and you settle into the routine of the work daily. Each day begins with dawn bells and ends with sunset fading light. The work is hard but satisfying to your soul, seeking meaning found. The master mason recognizes your skill and gives you more complex tasks. You carve decorative elements that will adorn the cathedral's exterior, beauty showing. Leaves and flowers and figures emerge from stone under your careful hands. Winter begins to loosen its grip as February arrives, slowly warming slightly. The days grow imperceptibly longer and the cold less bitter than before. Spring approaches, though still distant, and winter remains in control still firmly. You think sometimes of your journey through the winter landscape travelling far. the cold roads and lonely camps and villages passed through on your way. That journey brought you here to this place where you belong now. Other masons arrive having made their own winter journeys to join the work. Each has stories of hardship and danger overcome to reach the city. Winter travel is always difficult, but the skilled workers come regardless of season. You help the newcomers settle in, sharing advice from your own experience gained. The Brotherhood of Masons takes care of its own members, always helping. This is part of what makes the craft noble and worthy pursuing. The work continues day after day, with stone rising higher steadily upward. Each block is placed with care and precision, ensuring strength and beauty. The cathedral takes shape slowly but surely, growing toward its final form. You stand sometimes looking at what has been built already with pride. Your hands contributed to this and will continue for years to come. This is your legacy being created stone by stone, carefully placed forever. The winter that brought you here will be remembered always in memory. The journey through cold and snow that led to this new life. You are grateful for the hardship that brought you to this purpose. The cathedral bells ring, marking the hours passing through each day. Their sound becomes familiar and comforting to your ears, hearing them constantly. They mark the rhythm of your life now lived here completely. You have found your place in the world, working on something greater. The cathedral will outlast you by centuries, standing tall and proud always. But you will have played your part in its creation, eternal and lasting. Winter journeys are hard, but they lead to destinations worth reaching finally. Your journey is complete, but your work has only just begun here. The stone waits for your hands to shape it into beauty. The days grow longer as winter slowly releases its grip on the land. The sun rises earlier each morning and sets later each evening gradually. You notice the change in light as you work on the cathedral stones. The cold remains but loses some of its bitter edge that bit before. Icicles hanging from the cathedral roof begin to drip during midday hours, warming. The sound of water dripping becomes a constant background music accompanying your work. You've been working on the cathedral for nearly 2 months now. Your hands have developed new calluses from the constant work with stone daily. Your arms are stronger and your eye more practiced at judging proportions. The Master Mason has assigned you to work on a series of capitals. These are the decorated tops of columns supporting the roof structure above. They require skill and artistic vision to execute properly and beautifully done right. You spend days studying the patterns drawn on parchment by the master. Acanthus leaves curl and twist in classical forms copied from ancient buildings. You must translate these drawings into 3-dimensional stone carved precisely exact. The work is painstaking and requires total concentration to execute correctly well. Each cut of the chisel must be deliberate and controlled with precision. A mistake cannot be undone once the stone is removed, completely gone. You work slowly, letting the form emerge from the stone gradually revealed. The leaves begin to take shape, curling outward from the central core. Light and shadow play across the carved surfaces, creating depth and dimension. Other masons stop by to observe your work and offer comments helpful. The community of craftsmen supports each other, sharing knowledge and techniques freely. No one hoards secrets because the quality of all work reflects everyone. During the midday break, you sit with the other masons, eating together. A young apprentice named Thomas sits beside you, asking questions about technique. You explain patiently how to judge the depth of cuts needed properly. Thomas is eager to learn and watches your hands demonstrate the motions. He practices on a scrap piece of stone, mimicking your movements exactly. You correct his grip and show him again, more slowly this time. The Master Mason watches these teaching moments with approval showing clearly on face. Passing knowledge to the next generation is part of your duty as craftsman. The skills must survive beyond your own lifetime to continue forward always. The afternoon brings clouds gathering overhead, threatening snow or rain falling. The light changes, becoming diffused and soft across the worksite visible. You work more carefully as the light fades earlier than usual today. Snow begins to fall, lightly dusting the stones and scaffolding with white powder. Work continues despite the weather, because the schedule must be maintained always. The cathedral must be enclosed before next winter arrives with storms coming. You pull your cloak tighter and continue carving the delicate leaf patterns. Your fingers grow numb despite the wool mittens protecting them somewhat inadequately. You pause frequently to warm your hands against your body's heat. As evening approaches, the master mason calls halt to the day's work. Tools are cleaned and covered against the weather, coming to night predicted heavily. You descend from the scaffolding carefully, testing each icy step taken downward. Inside the lodge, the fire burns bright and warm, welcoming you home. You remove your wet cloak and hang it to dry near the hearth. Steam rises from the wet wool, filling the room with its distinctive smell. The evening meal is a thick stew of mutton and vegetables served hot. You eat hungrily, having worked hard throughout the cold day, labouring steadily. The food and warmth restore your energy and spirits lifted high again. After eating, you join the other masons around the fire, talking quietly. One of the older men tells stories of other cathedrals he worked on. His voice is deep and soothing as he describes distant cities visited. He speaks of a cathedral in the north built entirely of dark stone. The windows there are filled with glass coloured like jewels, sparkling brilliantly. Light streams through them, painting the floor with rainbow patterns moving throughout. Another mason tells of working on a monastery in the mountains high. The stone there was hard granite that resisted the chisel stubbornly always, but the finished building stood solid against storms that would destroy lesser. You listen to these stories, imagining the places and buildings described vividly. The world is full of stone structures being built by men like you. Each one is unique, but all share the common purpose of glory. The fire burns lower and men begin to retire to bed upstairs. You follow, climbing the stairs to the sleeping room above the workshop. Your bed welcomes you, and you sink into it, gratefully resting finally. Sleep comes quickly despite the snoring of your companions around you sleeping. Your dreams are filled with stone and patterns carved into endless surfaces. You see cathedrals rising toward clouds that touch heaven's gates opening wide. Morning comes with fresh snow covering the city in white skin once complete. The bells ring as always, calling the faithful to prayer and workers. You rise and dress in the cold room, shivering despite layers worn. Breakfast is porridge sweetened with honey and bread still warm from baking. You eat quickly, wanting to begin work on your capital stone waiting. The previous day's progress was good and you feel eager to continue. Outside, the snow has stopped and the sky is clearing to blue. The cathedral stones are covered in white, making them look ethereal and magical. Footprints mark paths through the snow where workers have already passed through. You climb to your workstation and brush snow from the stone. The capital is taking shape beautifully with leaves emerging from the block. Today you will work on the fine details that bring life. The chisel rings against stone in the cold morning air, crisp and clear. Each tap echoes off the cathedral walls, surrounding you on all sides. The rhythm is meditative and you lose yourself in the work completely. Hours pass without your awareness as the work absorbs your attention fully. The leaves gain depth and texture under your careful hand shaping them. Veins appear in each leaf, and edges curl naturally as living things. The master mason climbs up to inspect your progress made this morning. He examines the work closely from all angles, checking quality and accuracy. His face shows satisfaction, and he nods approval before descending back down. This recognition fills you with pride and motivates continued effort, always striving. To please the master mason is to prove your worth among craftsmen. His approval means your work will stand the test of time enduring. At midday you descend to eat with the others gathered below together. The sun is bright, reflecting off snow, making everything brilliant and white. You squint against the glare after the shadowed work area above left. Thomas the apprentice asks if he can watch you work this afternoon. You agree, and he follows you back up the scaffolding, eagerly climbing. He sits nearby, observing every movement you make with the tools used. You explain what you are doing as you work, showing him technique, how to read the stone and understand its grain and weakness present, how to work with the stone rather than fighting against it always. He asks questions and you answer patiently, remembering your own apprenticeship years ago. A master craftsman took time to teach you just as you teach. This is the way knowledge passes through generations of workers building. The afternoon progresses with good work accomplished on the capital stone. The piece is nearly complete, requiring only final smoothing and polishing done. You feel satisfaction knowing another piece will be finished, soon ready to install. As the sun begins its descent, you notice the temperature dropping rapidly. The cold intensifies and your breath becomes thick clouds hanging in air. Your fingers stiffen despite constant movement, working the tools held tightly always. The master mason calls early halt to work because of the cold. Tools are put away and everyone descends gratefully toward warmth inside waiting. The lodge fire has been built up, anticipating the workers' return home. You warm yourself by the fire, thawing frozen fingers painfully tingling back. Thomas stands beside you, also warming himself after watching all afternoon long. He thanks you for the lesson, and you nod, acknowledging his gratitude. The evening meal is especially welcome after the cold day's work completed. Hot soup and roasted chicken with root vegetables fill your belly, warmly satisfying. Ale flows freely and the room fills with laughter and conversation. You retire early, feeling the exhaustion of concentration and cold combined together. Your bed is cold at first, but warms from your body heat. Sleep claims you quickly and deeply, without dreams remembered upon waking later. The next morning brings even colder temperatures, with frost thick on everything. The water in the wash basin has frozen solid overnight, completely iced. You must break the ice to wash your face and hands. Breakfast is eaten quickly and everyone hurries to the work site beginning. Movement generates heat, and the sooner you start, the sooner warmth comes. Your capital stone awaits the final touches that will complete it. You work carefully on the finishing details that make the piece special. Small undercuts create deep shadows that enhance the three-dimensional effect created. Each leaf seems to lift away from the stone background behind it. By midday, the capital is complete and ready for the master's inspection. He climbs up and examines it thoroughly, from every possible angle viewing. His eyes are critical, but his face shows pleasure at what he sees. He declares it excellent work worthy of the cathedral's high standards maintained. This capital will be installed tomorrow morning in its permanent place designated. You feel pride swelling in your chest at this accomplishment achieved finally. The installation happens the next day with a team of masons working. The heavy stone is lifted carefully using ropes and pulleys rigged securely safely. You guide it into place atop the column where it will rest. The fit is perfect and the capital settles into position with satisfaction felt. Mortar is applied to secure it permanently in place, forever fixed there. You step back to see it from below, looking up at your work. The carved leaves seem to support the arch above them, naturally, gracefully done. Light plays across the surfaces, creating changing shadows throughout the day passing. This piece will be seen by thousands of people over centuries coming. You have left your mark on this cathedral that will outlast you. Your hands shape this stone into beauty that serves both function and art. This is why you travelled through winter's cold to reach this place. The work continues with new assignments given by the master mason directing. You begin another capital similar to the first, but with variations different. Each one must be unique while maintaining overall harmony throughout the design. The winter continues, but you're adjusted to the cold now, accustomed fully. Your body has adapted, and you work comfortably despite the temperatures low. The rhythm of work has become natural as breathing done unconsciously always. Weeks pass into months, and February gives way to March, arriving finally. The snow begins to melt, creating muddy conditions around the work site. Water drips constantly from the cathedral stones as ice melts away. The days are noticeably longer now, with light lasting later each evening. Spring is approaching, though winter makes occasional returns with late storms coming. The season of renewal is near, and spirits lift accordingly rising. You have completed 6 capitals now installed in their positions designated permanently. Each one represents hours of careful work and concentration focused entirely on quality. The master mason praises your consistency and skill demonstrated, repeatedly shown. Other parts of the cathedral are progressing as well, with walls rising. The scaffolding grows higher as the building reaches upward toward heaven intended. You can see the structure taking its final form, gradually emerging clear. One morning, the master mason announces a new assignment for you given. A wealthy merchant has commissioned a tomb monument for his family chapel. The work will be done in the workshop rather than on site. This is a great honour, showing trust in your abilities as craftsman. Tomb monuments are important commissions that bring prestige to the workshop entire. You will work from drawings provided by the merchant himself, directing design. The monument will feature carved figures of the merchant and his wife. They will be shown lying in repose with hands folded in prayer. Surrounding them will be their coat of arms and the religious symbols appropriate. You study the drawings carefully, memorizing every detail shown in parchment rendered. The figures must capture the likeness of the subjects accurately portrayed realistically. This requires skill beyond simple decorative carving done before this assignment. The stone arrives at the workshop delivered by cart from the quarry. It is fine white marble imported from distant lands at great expense. The quality is exceptional and the stone seems to glow within a light. You begin by roughing out the basic forms of the 2 figures. Large pieces of excess stone are removed, revealing the shapes within gradually. The work is slow and methodical, requiring constant measurement and checking proportions. Days pass as the figures begin to emerge from the marble block. The merchant visits periodically to check progress and offer comments guiding direction. He is pleased with what he sees and encourages you to continue. You work on the faces, paying special attention to capturing their likenesses. The merchant's wife has delicate features that must be rendered with sensitivity shown. Her nose is straight and her chin pointed with high cheekbones. The merchant himself has a strong face with a prominent jawline. His eyes are deep set and his brow is heavy with character. You study his face during his visits, memorizing every detail carefully observed. The hands are especially challenging to carve accurately and gracefully positioned naturally. Fingers must be slender and delicate looking despite being carved from stone. The folds of drapery must flow naturally, suggesting fabric rather than stone. Thomas the apprentice watches you work when he can spare time. He is amazed by the lifelike quality emerging from the stone transformed. You explain how observation of real people informs the carving done here. You show him how to look at the way fabric falls and gathers, how weight creates tension in some areas and relaxation in others visible. These details make the difference between lifeless stone and art that breathes. The weeks pass and the monument nears completion with final details added. You carve the coat of arms with precision, ensuring heraldic accuracy maintained. The religious symbols are rendered with appropriate reverence and care shown properly. The master mason inspects the finished work and declares it masterful execution. The merchant arrives for the final viewing and is overcome with emotion. He sees his wife rendered in stone, immortalized for eternity lasting. Tears stream down his face as he touches the carved hand gently. This monument will mark their final resting place when time comes eventually. But for now, it stands as testament to their lives lived together. The merchant pays handsomely for the work completed to his satisfaction fully. Part of the payment goes to the workshop, but a portion is yours. This extra money is welcome and will help you save for future. The monument is carefully wrapped and transported to the family chapel installed. You accompany it to supervise the installation, ensuring no damage occurs during moving. The chapel is small but beautifully appointed with stained glass windows coloured. The monument is positioned in a niche prepared specifically for it built. It fits perfectly and looks magnificent in the light filtering through windows. The merchant's family gathers to see it unveiled for the first time. Their reactions of awe and gratitude warm your heart with satisfaction felt. This is why you do this work, creating beauty that touches souls. Your craft serves both practical and spiritual purposes higher than mere building. You return to the cathedral work with renewed energy and purpose found. The tomb monument has reminded you of the deeper meaning in your work. Each stone you shape is part of something greater than yourself alone. Spring has arrived fully now, with flowers blooming in the city gardens. The trees along the streets are budding with new leaves emerging green. The air is warmer, and birds sing in the morning light brightening. The work on the cathedral continues with the season's better weather helping. More masons can work simultaneously with improved conditions present safely now. Progress accelerates and you see the building growing rapidly upward reaching. You work on decorative elements for the main entrance portal being constructed. Stone figures of saints and angels will flank the great doors installed. These figures require the skills you developed on the tomb monument. Each saint has the individual characteristics that distinguish them from others portrayed nearby. Their robes fall in unique patterns, and their faces show different expressions. You pour your heart into each one, making them live in stone. The master mason watches your work with increasing respect and admiration shown. He speaks to you one evening about your future in the workshop. He suggests you may become a master yourself in time coming. This possibility excites you greatly, offering a future beyond simple labour done. A master mason has authority and respect in the community acknowledged widely. The training and testing required will be rigorous, but you feel ready. You dedicate yourself even more fully to learning everything possible from masters. You observe their techniques and ask questions about theory and practice both. The knowledge accumulates in your mind, building toward mastery eventual someday. The summer arrives, bringing heat that makes the stonework uncomfortable sometimes. But the long days allow extended working hours with more light available. The cathedral grows steadily with each week, bringing visible progress made apparent. You've been here 6 months now since your winter journey began. The time has passed quickly, absorbed in work and learning, constantly advancing forward. You've grown as a craftsman and as a person changed. The cathedral stands as testament to collective effort of hundreds of workers. Each person contributes their skills, creating something greater than any individual could. You are proud to be part of this endeavour lasting through ages. Your hands are scarred and calloused from the constant work with stone, but they are also skilled and confident, shaping beauty from raw material. These hands will create many more works before your time ends. You think sometimes of the winter roads you walk to reach here. The cold and hardship seem distant now in summer's warmth surrounding you. But that journey was necessary to bring you to this place belonging. The cathedral bells ring, marking another day's end, approaching sunset, falling gradually. You clean your tools and prepare to descend from the scaffolding height. Tomorrow will bring new challenges and new opportunities for excellence achieved through effort. You walk through the city streets heading back to the lodge home. The evening air is pleasant and people are out enjoying the weather. Children play in the squares and the merchants close their shops for night. You pass the chapel where your tomb monument rests in honoured position. You pause briefly, thinking of the work that brought satisfaction deep within. Then you continue onwards toward food and rest and preparation for tomorrow. The lodge is warm and welcoming as always when you arrive there. Your brothers in craft are gathered, eating and talking about the day. You join them, feeling the bonds of fellowship that unite you. This is your life now, shaped by the winter journey undertaken bravely forward. The cathedral rises, and you rise with it towards something greater always. The stone waits for your hands to shape it tomorrow and always. The summer deepens, and the work on the cathedral continues without pause. The scaffolding now reaches high above the city streets below you standing. From your working position you can see across the rooftops to distant fields. The view is magnificent in the clear summer air, surrounding everything visible. The river winds through the landscape like a silver ribbon gleaming brightly. Hills rise in the distance, covered with forests dark green and dense. You've been assigned to work on the western row's window supports. These are the stone ribs that will hold the great circular window. The pattern is complex with geometric precision required absolutely for structural integrity. Each piece must fit perfectly with those surrounding it on all sides. The slightest error will compound and cause the entire structure to fail. You work with extreme care, measuring and checking constantly throughout the process. The master mason visits frequently to inspect your progress, made carefully, slowly. He points out adjustments needed, and you make them immediately without hesitation. His knowledge comes from decades of experience building cathedrals across many lands. You learn from every correction he makes, understanding the reasoning behind it. The rose window must distribute weight evenly while appearing delicate and light. Stone must seem to float despite its massive weight bearing down. Thomas has become your unofficial assistant, helping with measurements and tools needed. He has grown in skill and confidence over the months of observation. You trust him now to help with increasingly important tasks assigned daily. Together you shape the stones that will frame the window opening upward. The curves must be perfect circles, following the compass marks drawn precisely. Any deviation will be visible and ruin the harmony of the design. The work is exhausting, requiring concentration maintained for hours without breaking focus ever. Your eyes ache from constantly checking angles and curves against the patterns. Your back hurts from bending over the stones positioned on the scaffolding. But you persist because this work matters more than personal comfort felt. The rose window will be the glory of the western facade for centuries. People will travel from distant lands to see its beauty created by hands. At midday you rest briefly, eating bread and cheese brought up to you. You sit on the scaffolding with your legs dangling over the edge below. The height no longer frightens you after months of working up here. You can see the market square below filled with people buying and selling. The sounds drift up to you faintly like distant music playing somewhere far. You feel separate from that world living up here among the stones. Thomas sits beside you also, eating his midday meal in silence shared. He has become like a younger brother to you over these months together. You feel responsible for his education and safety while working high above. He asks you about the winter journey you made to reach here. You describe the cold roads and the villages and the frozen rivers crossed. He listens with wide eyes, imagining adventures he has never experienced himself. You tell him about the nights camping alone in forests dark and cold, the fear of wolves and bandits that stalked the road seeking victims alone, the relief of reaching villages and finding warmth and human company welcoming. He asks if you would make such a journey again if needed. You pause, considering the question honestly, before answering him, truthfully speaking words. Yes, you would, because the destination was worth every hardship endured along the way. The afternoon work resumes, and you continue shaping the window frame stones. The pattern emerges slowly like a flower opening to sunlight above spreading. Each piece adds to the whole, creating something greater than its parts. As evening approaches, the master mason calls you down from the scaffolding. He wants to discuss your progress and the timeline for completion scheduled ahead. You descend carefully, carrying your tools in a leather bag slung. On the ground, the master examines the drawings and your work completed. He calculates how many more days will be needed to finish this. The window glaziers are waiting to install the coloured glass when ready. He tells you that your work is excellent and on schedule expected. This praise means much coming from a man who rarely gives compliments. You feel pride but also pressure to maintain this high standard always. That evening at the lodge, you sit with the older masons listening. They speak of other rose windows they have built in distant cathedrals. Each one had unique challenges and required different solutions found through experience. One mason describes a window that collapsed during construction, killing 2 workers. The design had been flawed and the stone could not bear weight. The tragedy taught lessons that were applied to future projects undertaken carefully. Another speaks of a window so beautiful it made him weep when complete. The light streaming through the coloured glass transformed the space into heaven. He says this is why they do this work despite the danger. You listen, absorbing these stories into your own understanding of the craft. Each generation learns from those before and adds their own knowledge gained. The tradition continues unbroken through centuries of building and creating beauty. Sleep comes easily after the long day of concentrated work completed satisfactorily. Your dreams are filled with circles and curves and patterns, geometric and perfect. You see light streaming through glass, painting colours on stone floors below. Morning comes with birds singing outside the lodge windows opened wide for air. The summer heat is building and the rooms are stuffy without breeze flowing. You rise and wash in cool water drawn from the well outside. Breakfast is bread and fruit and small beer to wash it down. You eat quickly, eager to return to the work waiting above on scaffolding. The rose window frame is nearly complete with only days remaining until finished. You climb up to your station and inspect yesterday's work, critically examining it. Everything looks good in the morning light, showing details clearly visible now. You begin working on the final pieces that will complete the circle. The master glazier visits to see the progress and plan his work. He examines the stone framework carefully, checking every dimension and angle measured. His practiced eye catches a small imperfection that must be corrected immediately. You make the adjustment he suggests and he nods approval at the correction. He explains that the glass will not fit properly without this change. You are grateful for his expertise, preventing problems later discovered too late. The collaboration between stone and glass workers is essential for success achieved. Each craft depends on the other to create the final result beautiful. Respect between the trades makes the work proceed smoothly without conflict arising. By the end of the week, the stone framework is complete and ready. The master mason inspects it thoroughly from every angle possible, viewing carefully. He declares it perfect and authorizes the glaziers to begin their work. You watch as the first pieces of coloured glass are fitted carefully into place. The colours are magnificent reds and blues and greens and golds shimmering brilliantly. Even without light behind them, the glass glows with inner fire burning. The glaziers work with incredible precision, fitting each piece into the lead framework. The pattern forms slowly, revealing the design of Christ in majesty surrounded by angels. The artistry takes your breath away with its beauty created from light. Over the following days, the window is completed piece by piece, assembled carefully. You continue working on other parts of the cathedral, but watch the progress. Each evening, more of the window is visible from the ground below. Finally, the last piece of glass is set and the window is complete. The scaffolding is partially removed to allow light to shine through for testing. The entire cathedral holds its breath, waiting to see the result achieved. As the afternoon sun moves west, it strikes the window directly shining through. Light explodes into the cathedral interior in a cascade of colours brilliant. The stone floor is painted with reds and blues and the air glows. Everyone stops working to witness this moment of transformation happening before their eyes. The cathedral is transfigured by light into something beyond mere stone and glass. It becomes a doorway to the divine opening upward toward heaven. You stand with tears running down your face at the beauty created here. This is why you endured the winter journey and the months of labour. This moment justifies every sacrifice made along the way to this place. The master mason stands beside you, also moved by what you all created. He places his hand on your shoulder in acknowledgement of your contribution made. You work together to bring light into the darkness surrounding all people. The summer continues with work on other parts of the cathedral progressing steadily. You are assigned to carve the corbels that support the roof vaulting above. These small figures will be hidden mostly in shadow but must be perfect. You carve faces of workers and townspeople you see around you daily. The baker and the blacksmith and the washerwoman all appear in stone immortalized. They will be there long after everyone living now is dust and forgotten. Thomas continues to work beside you, learning the skills he will need eventually. He's ready to move beyond apprentice to journeyman status recognized by others. You recommend him to the master mason for advancement deserved and earned. The master tests Thomas on his knowledge and skills demonstrated over months of learning. He passes easily and is welcomed as a journeyman mason by the Brotherhood. You feel pride in his achievement, knowing you helped him reach this goal. The summer fades into autumn, bringing cooler temperatures and changing colours around you. The trees lining the streets turn gold and red before losing leaves. The harvest is gathered from the fields surrounding the city walls, protecting. The work pace slows slightly as the days grow shorter with less light. But the cathedral continues to grow, with walls reaching their final height intended. The roof structure is being assembled and will be raised before winter returns. You think about the approaching winter and your first year here nearly complete. So much has changed since you arrived cold and tired from your journey. You've grown as a craftsman and found your place in this community. The master mason calls you to his office one October morning for discussion. He sits behind a table covered with drawings and plans for future work. He gestures for you to sit and pours wine into 2 cups. He tells you that your work this year has been exceptional beyond expectations. You have demonstrated skill and dedication, that mark a true master craftsman emerging. He wants to recommend you for the examination to become a master. You are surprised and honoured by this recognition given so soon after arriving. Most men work many years before being considered for this advancement offered, but the master says talent and hard work deserve reward regardless of time. The examination will take place in the spring when the guild masters gather. You will be required to present drawings and execute a test piece. The other masters will vote on whether to accept you into their ranks. You accept this challenge eagerly despite knowing how difficult it will be. The winter months will be spent preparing drawings and planning your test piece. Everything must be perfect to convince the masters of your worthiness proven. The autumn progresses and you work on your examination preparations at night. By candlelight you draw designs showing your understanding of proportion and style. Each drawing must demonstrate mastery of different aspects of the craft practiced. Thomas helps by offering opinions and pointing out potential improvements needed in designs. His fresh perspective is valuable, and you incorporate his suggestions into the work. Teaching him has also taught you, making you a better craftsman overall. The first snow falls in November, dusting the city in white powder. Fresh. You remember your journey from 1 year ago through worse snow and cold. How different your life is now, compared to then when you walked alone. The cathedral work continues with the interior now protected by temporary roofing installed. You work inside carving capitals for the nave columns rising tall and strong. The space is magnificent, even unfinished, with soaring heights achieved already built. The acoustics are extraordinary, with every sound echoing and multiplying throughout the space. The tap of your hammer becomes a rhythm that fills the cathedral with music. You work surrounded by sound and light filtering through temporary coverings placed. Winter arrives fully with cold winds and frequent snow falling from grey skies. The work becomes harder with frozen fingers and shorter days limiting hours, but the lodge is warm and welcoming each evening when work ends. You continue working on your examination drawings, refining them to perfection sought always. The test piece will be a small capital showing your carving skill demonstrated. You have chosen a design featuring intertwined vines and birds singing among them. Christmas arrives, bringing a brief pause in the work for celebration and rest. The cathedral holds special masses with the bishop officiating in temporary space prepared. The entire city seems to gather in the unfinished building, worshipping together united. You attend the midnight mass on Christmas Eve, standing among the workers who built this. The service is beautiful, with candles lighting the space magically glowing warmly bright. Voices rise in hymns echoing off the stone walls surrounding all gathered here. After Christmas, the work resumes with renewed energy and purpose felt by everyone. The new year begins with optimism about the progress that will be made. The cathedral is nearing completion of the main structure, requiring only finishing work. January passes with bitter cold but steady work accomplished, despite the weather outside. February brings the first signs of spring approaching with longer days noticed. Your examination date is set for March, when the guildmasters will convene. You work furiously on your test piece carving, with intense concentration focused entirely. The vines twist and curl naturally as if growing from the stone itself. The birds perch among them with feathers detailed individually carved, precisely shown. Thomas watches your progress, offering encouragement when you doubt yourself, occasionally feeling uncertain. He reminds you of how far you have come in 1 year's time. From a traveller arriving cold and unknown to a craftsman respected by masters. The test piece is completed in early March and you present it to the lodge. The master mason examines it carefully from every angle possible, viewing it thoroughly examined. His face shows approval and he declares it worthy of examination by masters. The day of the examination arrives cold but clear in late March dawning. You dress carefully in your best clothes and carry your drawings and test piece. Your hands tremble slightly with nervousness, despite your confidence in the work done. The Guildhall is an impressive stone building in the city's centre, located prominently. Inside, the masters are gathered seated at a long table covered with cloth. They are older men with weathered hands and sharp eyes that miss nothing. You present your drawings one by one, explaining the design choices made clearly. The masters ask questions and you answer, demonstrating your knowledge and understanding shown. They examine your test piece, passing it around the table, carefully held respectfully. The questions continue for over an hour, testing every aspect of your knowledge. They ask about structural principles and aesthetic theories and practical techniques used daily. You answer as well as you can, drawing on everything you have learned. Finally, they dismiss you to wait outside while they deliberate and vote. You pace the hallway anxiously, wondering what they will decide about your future. Thomas and the Master Mason wait with you, offering silent support through presence. The door opens and you are called back inside to hear the verdict. You enter and stand before the table, trying to control your breathing and heartbeat. The senior master stands and addresses you formally using ritual words ancient. He announces that the guild has voted to accept you as a master mason. You've demonstrated the skill and knowledge required to hold this rank respected. From this day forward, you are recognized as a master in the Brotherhood. You feel overwhelming emotion threatening to overcome your composure, maintained with difficulty barely. This achievement represents everything you have worked towards since beginning your journey here. You bow deeply in gratitude and respect the masters assembled before you. The ceremony concludes with oaths sworn and symbols exchanged between masters gathered together. You are given a master's mark that you will use to sign your work. This mark will identify your creations for as long as they stand. You leave the Guildhall walking on air, barely touching the ground beneath. Thomas and the Master Mason congratulate you with genuine happiness for your success. This is a great achievement for someone so young in the craft. That evening, the lodge celebrates with a feast prepared specially for the occasion. Wine flows freely, and toasts are made to your future success and prosperity. You feel embraced by this brotherhood that has become your family chosen. The Master Mason announces that you will now work independently on major projects. Your first assignment will be designing and executing the main altar for the cathedral. This is a tremendous honour and responsibility given to you, now trusted fully. You spend weeks designing the altar, consulting with the bishop about his requirements. The piece must be magnificent, worthy of the cathedral's grandeur and beauty. It must also be functional, allowing the Mass to be celebrated, properly performed. The design you create features carved panels showing scenes from Christ's life depicted. The stone will be white marble with inlays of coloured stone creating details. Gold leaf will accent certain elements, making them shine in candlelight, glowing. The bishop approves your design with enthusiasm expressed clearly in his reaction. He provides funding for materials and additional workers to assist you. This project will take months to complete, but will be your masterpiece created. You begin work in the cathedral's workshop with Thomas and 2 other masons. The marble is delivered in massive blocks that must be rough cut first. The work is hard but satisfying as the altar begins to emerge. Spring turns to summer as the altar slowly takes shape under your direction. You carve the most important panels yourself, ensuring the highest quality achieved. The other masons work on structural elements, following your drawings and instructions given. The inlay work requires incredible precision, cutting stones to fit perfectly together tightly. You work with a specialist in this technique, learning from his expertise generously. The coloured stones create patterns that enhance the carved scenes depicted, beautifully shown. By autumn, the altar is nearly complete, with only finishing work remaining to be done. The gold leaf is applied by another specialist who makes the accents glow. The piece is magnificent, exceeding even your own vision of what it could be. The installation happens in November, with the entire workshop participating in the work. The altar is positioned in the sanctuary space prepared specifically for it built. It fits perfectly and looks even more impressive in its intended location placed. The bishop consecrates the altar in a special ceremony attended by the city's leaders. Candles illuminate the carved scenes, making them seem almost alive with movement. You stand in the back, watching with tears of pride streaming down. This altar will serve the cathedral for centuries, providing the sacred space for worship. Your hands created this, and your mark is carved discreetly on the back. Future generations will see your work, though they will not know your name. Winter arrives again, marking 2 years since you began your journey southward travelling. You think about that cold walk through snow and how it led here. Every hardship was worth it to reach this point, achieved, finally accomplished. The cathedral is nearly complete, with only minor finishing work remaining to be done. The dedication ceremony is planned for next spring, when bishops will gather from across. This building has consumed decades of work by hundreds of craftsmen labouring together. You have been part of its creation, and it will always be yours. When you are gone, it will remain standing as testament to your skill. This is the immortality that stone offers to those who work it well. You continue to work on smaller projects and to teach apprentices coming to learn. Thomas has become a master himself and works beside you as equal now. The lodge is your home, and the brotherhood is your family chosen freely. One winter evening, you sit by the fire with the older masons gathered. They ask you to tell the story of your winter journey to the cathedral. You describe the cold roads and the determination that drove you forward always. You tell them about the moment you first saw the cathedral rising above rooftops, how it called to you, promising purpose and meaning in your life's work, how you knew immediately that you belonged here, creating beauty from stone. The younger masons listen with fascination to your story, told honestly and completely. They see themselves in your journey, each seeking their own path to mastery. Your story becomes part of the lodge's tradition, passed down through generations coming. Years pass and you continue to work on the cathedral and other projects. Your reputation grows and you're called to consult on buildings in distant cities. But you always return here to the cathedral that made you whole. You take on apprentices and teach them as you were taught with patience. You pass on the knowledge given to you by masters who are now gone. The chain continues unbroken, linking past and future through the present moment lived. The cathedral stands complete and magnificent, drawing pilgrims from distant lands travelling far. They come to see its beauty and to pray in its sacred space. They walk beneath stones you carved, not knowing your hand shaped them. You grow older, but your hands remain steady and your eye remains true. The work continues because there is always something more to create and build. Churches and chapels and monuments all require skilled craftsmen working with stone. Thomas has his own apprentices now, and the cycle continues forward, endlessly repeating. The craft will survive long after you are gone, into the earth returned. This gives you comfort knowing your life mattered beyond yourself alone living. One spring morning you climb to the cathedral roof to inspect some repairs. The view from this height is breathtaking, with the entire city spread below. You can see the road leading south toward where you once lived, far. You think about the young man who walked that road through winter's cold. How frightened and uncertain he was about what lay ahead, waiting unknown. how that journey through hardship brought him to this place of belonging found. You would tell that young man that every step was worth taking bravely, that the cold nights and difficult days led to warmth and purpose discovered, that the cathedral waiting at journey's end would become his reason for living. The bells ring below you, marking the hour passing steadily onward toward evening. Their sound vibrates through the stone beneath your feet, standing firm and strong. You feel connected to the building as if it is alive and breathing. You descend slowly, taking your time to appreciate every detail surrounding you here. The carved capitals and the vaulted ceilings and the coloured light streaming through. All of this exists because people like you dedicated their lives to creating. That evening you sit in the lodge surrounded by your brothers in craft. The fire burns bright and the room is filled with warmth and companionship. This is home, and these are the people who matter most to you. You raise your cup in a toast to the cathedral and to those who built it, to the stone that gives form to dreams and visions held within hearts, to the journey that brings each person to the place where they belong finally. The winter journey you made years ago changed everything that followed after it came. Without that cold walk through snow, you would not be here among these people. Without hardship, there would be no appreciation for what was found at journey's end. You go to bed that night content with the life you have lived fully. The cathedral stands outside your window, reaching toward the stars, shining above brightly. Tomorrow will bring more work and more opportunities to create beauty from stone. But tonight you rest knowing that you have fulfilled your purpose in this world. The winter traveller who arrived cold and alone has become a master craftsman respected. The journey was long, but the destination was worth every step taken through cold. Good night.